If you're looking to take your life to the next level, then sit tight. What you're about to hear is definitely going to change your game. Are you ready? Let's do this. All right, guys, Coach Dana CAVALEA back with you today. And as you listen to my podcast and you listen to a lot of the things that I teach, you may be asking yourself, is this guy more of a psychological coach? Is he a physical coach? What does he actually do? What is he all about? And today I want to give you a little bit of a background on myself. And, I started as a young athlete, somebody looking to find his way as a baseball player. And in my journey as a baseball player, I started to look for a lot of resources outside of just my traditional hitting, fielding coaches, and skill-based coaches. And with that, I discovered that the one thing that would hold me back after having great rounds of batting practice, but not always being able to translate that to the game, was my mindset. So as the years went on, I realized that it wasn't always about focusing on our abilities, but focusing on the things that inhibit us from being able to truly take advantage of our natural talents. And for me, what I found was my ability to take my natural talent and translate that into game performance was where I was showing levels of weakness. In doing so, and looking back on things now and doing all of these things, I started to say to myself, there's got to be something deeper. And when I started to realize that I was in full control of my mind, as long as I realized I was in full control of my mind, I could really start to change my overall outcomes. And this point in my life, which dates back to high school and early college, is really what started to shape my career as a coach and being truly able to help people overcome the obstacles that sit in front of them. Now, fortunately, I was able to use these techniques that I developed as an athlete on younger athletes and eventually with high-level professional athletes like the New York Yankees. I realized that it wasn't a lack of talent, obviously, that would hold these pro players back, but it was mentality-based issues, and with them, because of the game volume, it was physicality-based issues, it was fueling issues, and it was recovery issues that we needed to address. So this actually is what shaped my entire training philosophy. Training is actually one of what I call my 4 drivers. And my 4 drivers are mindset, training, fueling, and recovery. So as we go through this podcast and coaching journey together, you're going to hear me discuss all of these drivers in different ways. I always start with mindset and mentality because that's the driver that drives the other 3, right? So if we are not in a good mental space, it's going to inhibit our ability to train, to eat correctly, and to make the time for recovery. So that's why I spent so much time up front discussing mindset. And when you really start to break down mindset and understand it, you realize that most people struggle with a lot of the same things. And I find the place that most people struggle, or they spend the most time struggling, really comes from deep-rooted self-esteem issues. How do you see yourself, and what's the conversation that you have with yourself? Now, when you're getting ready to engage in competition of any kind, whether it's a big speech, whether it's a big meeting, whether it's a big phone call, what are you telling yourself? What is the conversation that you're having with yourself? If it's a negative conversation, the chances of you being ready to have a great positive conversation with great outcomes and also holding yourself in an alpha position is going to create a level of compromise. So that's why we start with understanding mentality, self-esteem, finding what's holding us back, analyzing self-talk. From there, we're ready to move into the second driver of performance. It drives me more crazy than seeing people market and sell incomplete programs, right? So I'm talking about my 4 drivers of performance: mindset, training, fueling, and recovery. Yet when you turn on the TV, you're being marketed this for fuel. You're being sold this for recovery. You're being sold this for training. And God knows what you're being sold for mindset. But every program that's out there is selling an incomplete package. You can't possibly expect great results if your programming is incomplete. So when we talk about training, it all depends what type of a person you are. If you're an athlete, a baseball player versus a football player versus a basketball player versus a try, you're going to get different training in terms of the actual X's and O's of your training program. If you're a general pop person who's just looking to lose weight, you can't put everybody on the same general weight loss program because everybody's different. What if somebody's 100 pounds overweight versus somebody that's 10? What if somebody that's 100 pounds overweight is dealing with lower extremity swelling where the person that's only 10 pounds is not? You see, there's so much confusion in the space as it relates to training in general, but just in terms of personal development in general. Now, I consider training, your fitness, your nutrition, your recovery, your mindset, that's personal development. I don't understand how personal development was basically exclusive to the mind. And that's what I see. You know, go ask some of these gurus out there if they could talk about the body. You got to be healthy, guys. You got to be healthy. It's important that you're healthy. You take care of yourself. You lose weight. Well, how do we do it, coach? So how could you talk about personal development if you don't actually know the X's and O's of training? You can't have that conversation, okay? So everything's got to be intertwined and interlinked. When it comes to nutrition, everything on the nutritional space right now is heavily fad-based. No carbs, no gluten. Now we're going to go high fats. We're going to run keto diets. We're going to run paleo. We're going to run Atkins. We're going to put a title to all these different programs just for marketing purposes. That's what's happening. Again, leading to a more confused consumer, which eventually will lead to lower levels of performance because the programming is incomplete. Now, when I talk about recovery, which is my final driver, most people immediately say, oh, you mean yoga? No, I don't just mean yoga. And yoga at times is not actually recovery. If I was training an athlete all week, all month, the last thing I would do is prescribe yoga if they're fatigued. It depends on the response that we're looking for. So the real conversation is about arming people with the ability to make decisions to help them improve their overall performance in totality, not just one aspect, right? If we were to just improve one aspect of our life in terms of our overall performance, we would then have other deficits. In fact, the gap of deficit would be even higher. So what I encourage everybody to do is take an inventory of yourself. Where do you need the most work next to those 4 drivers? You have mindset, you have training, you have your fueling, and you have recovery. If you write those 4 words down next to them, write a little something. Where are you struggling the most? And that will be the start as to where your coaching journey begins in each of those 4 categories. But if you're going to address one on its own, oh, I'm just going to do the training and never recover, you're going to be the person that has chronic aches and pains, breakdown, and fatigue. If you're somebody that just focuses on your fuel but doesn't consider mindset, you're going to wonder why you can't stick to a dietary plan. You see how this is all intertwined? If you're somebody that's training all the time, focusing on your mindset and focusing on your fueling, yet never recovering and pulling back and unplugging, you're going to experience higher levels of burnout. So as a coach, I talk about everything integrated. So when you listen to my stuff, you may not know why. Why is this guy going so deep into the psychology? Because it's all intertwined. Now, what do I do day to day? I integrate all of this right into my training sessions. I work with professional athletes, high-level executives and CEOs, high performers, musicians, celebrities across the board. All people that are demanding high performance. And this is what we do. So my goal was to introduce you to my philosophy and start to introduce you to things that you could integrate or protocols that you can integrate into your daily life to take your game to the next level. How do we know we've had success? We feel great. When we go to the doc, our numbers are great. We're pain-free. Our bodies are strong and lean with lower body fat. We're able to walk whatever distance we want. We're able to run whatever distance we want. We're extremely satisfied with our position in life from a physical standpoint, a career standpoint, a relationship and social standpoint. Our goal is to bring this whole package together. And that's the journey we're on together. So each week, I'm going to bring you new episodes of this podcast, which will be monologues. Sometimes we'll bring on guests. But really, it's about empowering you to empower you. Because you are the only one that can change yourself, truly. You got to flip the switch. You got to be committed to the process. But remember, you have the power. Don't give it to anybody else. And feel that within yourself, you have all the resources that you need to get yourself to the next level. So you're constantly trying to evolve and push yourself to the next place in your life. Stick to the process. Don't quit. Build a team around you and get yourself coached to the next level. This is Coach D signing out.